Choice is an important element in East of Eden. Carefully argued essay. Analyze at least 3 rhetorical devices Steinbeck utilizes to prove that individuals may develop his or her own morality. What are things that you like? What don't you like? Confusion, concern, questions? Which can be good. It could be bad, I guess, depending what you want. Yeah, like what, and I don't mean this to sound stupid, what are things that you have to pick?
Well, you have to pick, like, the individuals that, like, develop their own morality. You have to pick the devices he uses.
And that's and really from a structural standpoint, it is meant to be very similar to what you did before, because we're still, you know, working our way through understanding rhetorical devices and analysis and all that kind of stuff. So the fact that you're going to pick 3 rhetorical devices is very much the same thing. One thing that could be different, doesn't have to be different, and I already kind of underlined it, individuals. So you do have a choice that you could go one, or you could go multiple. And that's entirely, you know, up to you. Grace wants to write about 1 character, Grace can write about 1 character. Grace wants to write about 3 characters, you could write about 3 characters. I wouldn't do 2. Why am I saying 3? So I would pick a device to go with a character for a paragraph. I would pick another device to go with another character for a second paragraph. I'd pick another device for another character to go with the 3rd paragraph. Or, you know, and you've already kind of done this, take that 1 character, all the devices that go for that 1 character, you would be able to do. So that's kind of like, yeah, those initial choices that you have. And one thing to understand about morality here, you know, where it says kind of develop, if the word determine works better for you, you can kind of think of it in that way as well. It's not that you have to think of characters who create like a totally unique morality, but things that they do that would contribute, develop, determine the morality. But that morality could certainly be good, and it certainly could be bad. It's not that you have to prove they suffer, but it has a positive impact. I think in that way it could be a little bit more straightforward, but this person has a good morality, positive, here's what he or she did to contribute to it. This one, not so good for this character, here's what he or she did for it. If you choose multiple characters, some morality could be good, some could be bad. And, you know, the fact that there's a contrast there can even kind of help emphasize, you know, some of the things that other characters did that, you know, helped contribute to. Yeah, there is a lot to choose from. And structurally, I didn't make more copies of the little checklist thing that you guys got, but it would maintain the same thing. So you're still going to be taking a look at those 3 body paragraphs. Within those paragraphs, you know, you'll have a singular device. You'll have a minimum of 3 cited examples. And of those cited examples, at least 2 would be quotations, you know, that would be coming from the book. Doesn't have to be dialogue, but would be quoted material.
We have 3 quotes.
Can you have 3? Yes. Yeah. Got this all figured out. You're just good to go. Run with it. Good. What about it? Yeah, you're gonna have an introduction and conclusion, but what I mean, like, just so far is like what else, not paragraph wise, but what would be questions, what would be concerns? You're still gonna have an intro, you're still gonna have a conclusion, you're still gonna have like that spa statement. I would say for intros, and I don't mean this like everyone, but I'd say a good number of us probably want to be a little bit more concerted about having like some background about novel as a whole within the intro. Some of our intros are like, hey, here's my thesis statement, I'm just gonna go with that. Remember, you do have that analysis map in your syllabus that you can always kind of refer to. But what else so far as questions, concerns? Diana?
We have to, like, introduce choice somehow in the intro.
Yes. So something with I would say if there's at least 2 words that are gonna show up in that intro, I think morality and choice would be coming up somehow, some way. If you want to like do, you know, a definition or something like of choice, you know, as an attention grabber, you can, or you can, not can, you can, you may, thou mayest. Don't go according to dictionary.com or Merriam-Webster. Choice means blah blah blah. Any idea why, Stella? True. Should I have to give a wedding speech? I might, you know, that's an idea. You can come up with a definition for choice, you know, and that might not be the overall, you know, universally approved definition, but Brady knows what it means to make a choice. Tori knows what it means to make a choice. So for something, you know, as kind of simplistic or common sense as that, I think your own words are going to be more relevant to what you're going to write about than what Merriam-Webster, how he defines choice, or something along those lines. So it's not that definitions are a bad way, but I don't think you need to do the whole according to the American Heritage Dictionary. I'm more worried about what Stella, you know, thinks choice would be. And your definition or your viewpoint of choice can certainly go a long way as to which individuals, which characters, you know, best represent that kind of concept of choice.
Just to clarify, when you have plus or minus, do you mean like positive or negative morality? Is that why you
Yeah, like good people, bad people.
Okay.
And sometimes, you know, even like mixed. You know, it's not that, you know, have to be all good, all evil. So good. Abby.
What does it say before to quote at the very end?
Who knows? 3-sided examples. You'll get used to it by like November. I thought for sure someone would ask this question by now. Revolving around quotes and examples, since you already got one essay. Yes!
Same quotes.
What was that?
It was the same
I'm so happy you asked that question. How should I answer? Why are you so like? By the way, is this cheating? Like, am I giving too much information?
Don't get
Okay.
not a repeat of second, please.
You may incorporate 2 quotes from the last essay. Okay, you don't have to. So Ryan, you can have 2 old. So what's the other part of that? Oops. Apparently we're not calibrated well. If you're going to have up to 2 old, that means you're going to have at least how many new ones? There you go. Very subtle. So, Maddie, at least 7 new examples are going to be coming in, okay? What's another question that could come in concerning your previous essay?
Could we use like, if you said like the motif from the first one, could we say like the same motif?
So like reuse the device?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, I got no problems with that. Tell you what, I'll even let you write about the same character if you want. Okay, so like a lot of you went Cal. You want to go Cal again? You can. You can do the whole thing about Cal. You can do a paragraph about Cal. So you do have the ability to kind of think back to places that you started. You know, and I think for a lot of folks, because of choice, if you wrote about motif, that's one that people were tending to think about because you were doing Tim Shell and Almaeus and all that kind of stuff. While the word may not show up on all of those pages necessarily, that whole idea about choice coming up over and over again in discussions about it, that does show up on multiple pages. So just because I do a motif of, say, you know, Tim Shell, doesn't mean that all of my examples have to have that word in it. So, you know, you could take a look at maybe even the word Almaeus, or the phrase isn't used, but some kind of choice is being made by that character that emphasizes the presence of that motif. You could certainly do. If you want to write about a character that you already wrote about, but 2 essays devoted to the same person is too much, you could go with those multiple characters, you know, if you want. So you do have some flexibility with that. And honestly, while working on this essay, what might you come across for your old one? You might come, that's a really good example of dark imagery that I couldn't find before. Write down that page number, make a little note in my other one, come back and reinvestigate it later. All right. So I don't want you to take the old stuff and completely reuse it, but it could be a starting point, for you in some way. So you can keep the character, you can keep devices, and you can obviously broaden out and do some other devices, and you can keep up to 2 of those specific examples. And again, that 2's for the whole essay, not per paragraph. So you're not like going to be reusing 6 of them. That would be too much.
I don't know if you said this already, but can we talk about both good and bad morality, or do we have to say one?
No, you can talk about both, and that would probably happen more so if you're doing multiple characters. So your characters can certainly have a mix, of good and bad, and I don't care when I give you choices. I'm never trying to set you up where there's the right choice and there's the wrong choice, and you made the unfortunate decision of the wrong one. I don't care which way you take it. I think a nice thing about doing multiple characters is the fact that some characters make choices that really has a negative impact for their overall morality or highlights their negative morality. That can have that emphasis for, but look what this person did, that ended up doing, picking something good. The Trask family certainly kind of had like a cursed clan, so to speak, throughout much of the book. The fact that you have the Hamiltons and the Trasks, over the years kind of illustrates some of the choices that they make. Some of the Hamiltons don't seem very Hamilton-like in some ways, so certainly you can do comparison. And if you pick, whether it be one character or multiple characters, while that one character would be the focal point for that paragraph, you can certainly mention other characters that kind of help illustrate the choices that the others make. Seem easier, harder?
Definitely easier.
I think part of the easy is you already kind of like did this once. I do think an aspect of it that makes it easier is you're not worried about the suffering and positive impact. Whereas, we were having conversations about some people might go negative, positive in the last essay, or suffering, positive outcome. I think this one the paragraphs would be more in unison. Question first period was, say I go with 3 characters, do they all have to pertain to one another so far as the transitions? That if I write about this character, does he or she have to interact with the next one and then interact with the next one? That answer is no. What is going to link the characters is they all make choices, so far as determining reality. But it's not that if you end up going with Cyrus, you have to therefore then pick, Adam or Charles or something along those lines. Whereas some of you, and a lot of folks went with Cal, there could have been some concern about getting paid support from various stages of the book. If you do go the multiple character route, that shouldn't be a problem, because you could go, hey, early part, mid part, end part. If you choose one character, again, it would be a character that has a pretty big presence, which you'd be able to pull examples from throughout. But I think some of you will enjoy, not enjoy, you're not going to enjoy this, will appreciate the fact that you can at least have multiple characters that you're not just stuck with. Maybe you'll enjoy it. Who knows? Ryan, why am I here? How's Heart of Darkness? Great. Started? Once he said great, I knew he hadn't started. Started. Great. Anything else? We can talk about this for another 20 minutes. We can stop. Doesn't matter. It's all up to you right now. We stop when we don't stop.
In our introduction, how should we pick the multiple characters? How should we introduce them and connect the device with the character?
Your introduction won't be drastically different than like how the other one would be. Like you're not going to have to go in detail of all those characters, because you're going to do that within the body. If say that I decide I'm going to pick Samuel, I'm going to pick Kathy, I'm going to pick Adam. Okay, just, again, randomly saying those. I would, in my intro, certainly mention that there's multiple families, the Hamiltons and the Trasks, because that's where my characters are going to be coming from, but I'm not gonna go into detail about who Samuel is, who Kathy is, who Adam is within the intro. I'm gonna certainly save that for a body paragraph.
Should we connect, like if we say we use details for Adam, should we say what historical devices we use to explain each character's
If say I'm going with 3 characters, can't show you that example anymore. Should I go with 3 characters? I'm 3 individuals can determine their own morality, and then when I get into the body paragraphs, I'll let you know who those individuals are. But I'm not going to do something where it's going to become convoluted, where it details about Kathy, symbolism of Samuel, imagery of Adam. That's more than I need, because again, the main structure is still going to be kind of like those devices, and then I'll just kind of get into those characters. Now, so my background would certainly touch on the characters that I'd be getting to, but the specifics could certainly end up being, within the body paragraph itself. I'd say by the topic sentence of each body paragraph, I know who you're looking at. The details in the book surrounding Kathy Ames, without a doubt, proves that she determines her own morality. Now I know who you're focusing on and can keep going. If I choose one character, I think it would make sense to include that character in the argument. Details, imagery, and symbolism prove that Adam Trask, determines his own morality. But if I want to keep it as simple and direct as I can for my own sanity as a writer, rather than trying to get too much into that open. Good question. That's not, well, that is a question, I guess. Did you go? Okay. Shannon said yes.
So kind of like on Mark's question, so if we're doing like 3 characters, you don't want us to say like all of them in one pieces.
I don't think you need to. Yeah.
So we just talk about them.
And this is the for me frustrating, not because of you, but the frustrating thing is I can't say, okay, this is the one size fits all for all of you. Now, say every single character that I'm going to do is a Hamilton, that probably would be easier to incorporate all of them into a singular argument. I could go for throughout the generations of the Hamilton family. Or if they're all Trasked, I could do something like that. But I don't want, if someone were to go Tom, Lee, and Aaron, I think you got so much stuff going on that that's going to be hard to effectively, get that across within a thesis. And again, it's a draft, so if we decide, maybe we should tweak this a little bit, we can make those changes. But I would say, as I said to Douglas, that I think that topic sentence, it should be clear what the device is and which character we're taking a look at that point. And I know some people said yesterday they kind of get concerned by getting too repetitive. That topic sentence, that closing sentence of those body paragraphs, that device is getting reinforced. Imagery will prove, and then at the end, clearly imagery plays an important part in Kathy's depiction of her morality or whatever the case may be. So you want to make sure that the device, the literary technique, or rhetorical strategy, are pretty clear to the reader which one you're taking a look at. Okay. Get the sense we're all right. Or not talking. All right. On a lined piece of paper, write a simple sentence that ties in somehow to East of Eden. Like content of East of Eden. Don't go East of Eden bored me to death. But something, a simple sentence involves East of Eden. Someone wrote about the lettuce incident first period, and it sounded like middle school food fight. Anything you want, Grace. Anything you want. Maddie, we're writing a simple sentence about East of Eden.
Oh boy, that's exciting.
It is. Glad you share my excitement.
We're back in 4th grade.
Douglas, that's a little like patronizing of me right now. Because I can say for a fact, in my daughter's school, they don't do anything in 4th grade.
Does she go to North Hills?
Nope.
I heard Miss Kane, well, the last year.
Evil Empire. Yep.
Miss Kane wasn't very happy with the iPads. She didn't think they were learning anything.
Oh yeah, she did not.
Especially in math.
You know what I like? Simple sentences. That's why you have a good one. What do you have?
I had Adam Trask move to, I don't, Salinas, is that how you say it?
Yeah.
Valley.
And I'm just gonna write everything in present tense. So moves to the,
Moves, yeah.
moves to the Salinas Valley. Didn't go California.
No,
Okay,
just
that's
those.
fine. Yeah, no, you're good. Boom. That was a simple sentence. Ryan, what do you got? Remember, you cannot say I did not read Heart of Darkness. This is only East of Eden.
Adam is Alan.
Did you go like ARON or did you go AA Ron? Well, he spells it both ways.
The way
The predominant. Okay. Aaron. Like that. Not intentional, but notice something here because this will come up for folks. If you got two people and we're doing possessive, Cal and Aaron's, the last person gets the possessive. So if it's owned or possessed by two people, you wouldn't go Adam is Cal's and Aaron's father, Cal and Aaron's father, because that comes up. Good job. Look at that. It was a learning moment. What else? Any kind of simple sentence? Hannah?
Cal and Aaron are twins.
And Daniel?
Reed is the best character in the book.
Adam Trask is a fool.
I pity the fool. Okay, what's next? Complex sentences. The adolescent of sentences. Complex. I was going to say the adolescent female of sentences, but I didn't know if that was like gender bias or not. But true. A little bit.
A little bit.
Yeah. Simple sentence, that's like the Brady of grammar. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't say simple-minded. It's, simple. Stella, my older daughter's 11, and she still likes me.
I mean,
I feel like I'm on borrowed time.
it doesn't always.
Diana's nodding her head yes, like the world's gonna come crashing down.
That doesn't always happen.
It is for Mrs. Kane.
No.
Yeah, that'll be borrowed time.
I think girls are harder on their moms than they are on their dads. I don't know.
Complex. Oh, she's erasing.
I've been erasing.
Tori just erased too. It's okay. My 8-year-old is a compound complex.
8's not as bad as 11.
Yeah, we'll see.
That's the best part, man. She
Can we
tells
have
the
like a
stories.
theme with our sentences? Like I just
East
said,
of Eden.
Adam is a fool. Like
If you can build upon it, you can, or you want to do something completely different, doesn't matter. Abby, did you get one?
I think, yeah.
Okay, let's try it out.
Kathy burnt her house down, killing her parents, comma, killing her parents.
Okay, so Kathy, I'll say burns her house down. Burns her house down, comma, killing her parents. Okay. What else? Is normally a very happy person until Una dies. Like that? Okay. Since Abby was talking about punctuation, you doing anything punctuation or no? Okay. Besides the period there at the end. Anything else? Did you do something with Adam being a fool? Okay, what'd you do?
I'm still figuring it out.
When his father declines at Cal burns his money.
Comma, Cal, burn his money? Okay. Boy, this is a tricky sentence.
I keep messing up my words.
Tori, how's yours?
After Kathy kills her family.
Okay, after Kathy kills her family, comma, or she runs away? Alright, she runs away. I forgot to ask the question about simple sentences up here. Are all of these simple sentences?
Yeah.
Beyond a shadow of a doubt. They are all simple sentences. Are all of these complex sentences? Going, yep. Grace is going, but then she's hiding behind her backpack so that I don't see her shaking her head. What do you think? Are all these complex sentences? I don't know because I'm not sure.
I don't think so. I don't completely agree with Ryan's. The until Women dies, I feel like that's just like an addition to the sentence rather than like an incomplete like phrase.
All right, so what do we need to be a complex sentence? Not just a comma, because you could have a complex, like, you could have a complex sentence without a comma. And that's one of the things we'll get into. Okay, so for this, you need an independent clause, not clauses, plus a dependent clause. You could have independent first, followed by dependent. You could have dependent first, followed by independent. Okay, it does not matter. Now, what's the next question? Well, what makes an independent clause? Independent clause is essentially a what? It's essentially a simple sentence. It could be a sentence on its own. What's a dependent clause? And this can be a little tricky sometimes.
Something that it needs detail, because if it was left alone, it wouldn't make sense.
It's not a complete thought. Okay, it is not a complete thought, but it still has a subject and a verb, as opposed to a phrase which would be missing a subject or a verb. Okay, so Kathy burns her house down, killing her parents. Kathy burns her house down. Is that an independent clause? Absolutely. Killing her parents? No. What is this?
I have no idea.
It's a simple sentence. This was yours, right? This is Abby's? Okay. Which doesn't mean it's a bad sentence by any means, okay? The reason kind of going over this, if you've taken a look in the analysis map thing that I have within your course syllabus, there'll be a thing where it says, hey, simple, compound, complex, which types of sentence work best for different places. One of the reasons for having that is if you want your thesis usually to be a simple sentence, direct to the point. A good place to have compound and complex sentences, and still some simple sentences, is going to be when you are explaining passages, examples. And you know, one of the common things I said yesterday moving around was you might want to add a little bit more detail, a little bit more explanation. That's when you want to have those compound, the complex sentences. And I would try to go simple, compound, complex in any particular order, but those three. Because what do you have in complex sentences? You have things like until, you have things like when, you have things like after. What do those three words all do? They highlight
They lead in.
relationships, cause and effect, and things like that. So we could have, like if we were to take, Tori, you did the number 4? We could take her sentence and go, after killing her family, Kathy runs away. That would be a simple sentence. because we don't have a her or a Kathy doing the killing. We just have after killing her family. That's still a phrase at that point. So you can still have lengthy, simple sentences. It doesn't mean they have to be, no offense, because yours is the shortest. Adam Trask is a full. They don't have to be like 4 words, 5 words. They can certainly have some length to them, but it doesn't quite have, the noun and the verb going for each part. What happens if I do something like this? Cal burns his money. Who did this one? Whose sentence was this yours? Okay. Cal burns his money when his father, actually, I'll switch it from when, after his father declines it. What do I need to do punctuation for number 4? Douglas? Besides that period, nothing. Because if I go independent and then dependent, no comma. So some of you, it is like habit. You write the word because, you're like, oh, I need to have a comma. You don't. Because, blah, 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 then yeah, you'll go comma. With the independent clause, it's going to be coming after it. But if you lead with an independent clause, you don't need to have a comma. That the subordinating conjunction, the because, the when, the until, all that kind of stuff, you don't need that comma for. If we did simple and we did complex, what's next? Compound. What's the little thing we remember for compound?
Conjunction.
Which ones?
And but non, they can take you really far.
Fan, boys. What was yours?
And but R.
Okay. Or R or or?
R. And button. Conjunction.
Yeah.
And but and R.
Can take you.
Really far.
I don't know that one.
Conjunction junction.
How to deprive childhood, Douglas? Fanboys, for and nor, but or yet so. Grace is going, I didn't sign up for this. For the sake of time, let's just do one together out loud. Like someone just throw something out here.
Mrs. Trask kills herself. Oh, I was.
You're hoping for someone to finish.
I thought people were gonna add on to that. But
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 Cyrus Trask finds a new wife.
there you go. Mrs. Trask kills herself, independent clause. Cyrus Trask finds a new wife, independent clause. We have our coordinating conjunction. We have a comma before it. We're good to go. What could we do to keep this idea and still make it a compound sentence without using a coordinating conjunction? Yes, it is one of the keys. You are correct. It's the dot, comma. It's the semicolon. All right, Mrs. Trask kills herself, semicolon, Cyrus Trask finds a new wife. Semicolon, besides proving that you have gone or plan on going to college, it can join two sentences together, just like, for and nor, but or yet. So, the word for as a coordinating conjunction, sometimes folks go, wait, what? For essentially replaces because. So it's a cause and effect thing. Cyrus Trask finds a new wife, comma, for Mrs. Trask, for that one I would say killed herself because I'm talking about past tense and whatnot. I would not go with a colon, okay? Sometimes people like the colon. Anyone have an easy little rule for colons? There's a couple for them.
They should only be lists after colon.
It's essentially a list. Then there can be some other ways, and some of us introduce quotes and things like that. Colon basically equals the phrase such as. So So if you're going to write something and you're going to go such as, you could essentially put a colon in there. Now there are other times for it. I don't want to say this is the 100%, but that's the more common time. So if you can think of the semicolon as a coordinating conjunction and colon as like a such as, that'll get you through most of the battles.
What about, would that be like e.g.?
I wouldn't worry about that right now, because then you get into the whole e.g., i.e., and difference between all those things and parentheses, which end up being also a mess. But it can be. But for compound and complex, these are really good when it gets to your analysis, again, because you're highlighting relationships. I'm a big fan of using complex sentences to introduce quotes or examples. And I would put the quote in the dependent clause. When Steinbeck writes, or when Adam says, and then you have the quote, what do I have to include after it? An explanation that is going to certainly build off of it, and so it's forcing me to get some detail into it. So we're going to do some more things with simple, compound, complex, but start to be aware of how you use them. And if you find that you write always in complex sentences, you want to vary that up a little bit. It'll make it a little more readable.